Right, we're going to move on and we're going to open another document in our chapter 10. So go to chapter 10, and we want to open the landscape start JPEG file. And we're going to do a file save as, and save it as your name and then landscape. Where'd you guys see the PSD part pop up? In this window? Or no?
No.
Oh, up when it names it, up
Yeah.
high? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I thought in this window, I was wondering where that option was. Different views here, I guess. Okay, save. This is, we're starting as a JPEG. That's the file that we opened from them.
Yeah.
Yep, so it's fine right as it is. So this is a photo, right? It's a picture or something. And we're going to do mixing of colors with different brushes on here to actually paint this into like a painting. With more time, effort, and proper brushes and energy, it can look really awesome. Mine looked like a kindergartner painted it, just being honest. It wasn't the best fine art demo, but we're going to get the idea. So I make your image a little bit bigger so we can see what we're working with. So custom brushes. We've made our own in the past. We did our name a long time ago. Anytime you want to make a custom brush in Photoshop, the trick is you have it on a white background and the graphic is black, and you marquee it and you say make a custom brush and you give it a name. So we did that with our name a while ago. You can make custom brushes, you can buy them on the internet, you can download free ones, and you can look at everything that Photoshop ships with and activate those as well. Okay, the brush panel. So that's not this free floating. Sometimes there are two different tabs here, but right now in my view anyway, I have the brush settings tab, free floating, and then I have my brushes tab over here on the left hand side. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger so I can see more of what it's saying. Okay, so in our brushes tab down here, you can see that there are groups. So we have general brushes, and there's a right-facing arrow next to it. And if we twirl that open, we're going to see our general brushes that we've been using. So our soft and our hard, the ones that kind of are pressure sensitive and angle sensitive. So as you push harder with the Wacom pen or hold your angle, it's kind of like using traditional media where it gets thicker and thinner and more comes out. So we have our dry media brushes, a bunch of those. We have special effects brushes. The bear hair that we made a while ago is still there. We also have our legacy brushes. If you don't have those, if that's what I turned on in my demo, you go up to the upper right corner of the brushes panel to that little more menu option. Click on that, and the legacy brushes are right down here. All right, next thing we're going to do is load a preset that we've either downloaded or purchased. So in this brushes panel up here, we're going to click on that more menu off to the right. And about halfway down, we see import brushes. We're going to go to that. And somewhere we have downloaded or saved brushes. It automatically takes you to your brushes folder that's buried deep within the belly of the Photoshop engine. Thankfully, we didn't have to navigate to get to it, but that's where it assumes you're going to want all of your brushes, and anything that you download, that's where they're going to live. But in our case, it's actually in our Chapter 10 folder, so we needed to navigate to wherever your book files are in Chapter 10. And the only option that we have to import a brush is CIB landscape brushes.abr. .abr is Adobe Brushes. That's the extension, and those are automatically going to be brought in and saved in your brushes folder. So say open to that. And then go over to your, I'm going to spin these shut over in our brush panel. Special effects. Oops. I'm going to spin the legacies shut. And at the very bottom, the one that we just added, the CIB landscape brushes are there. And if you spin it open and scroll down, you are going to see them. I need to make this panel bigger so we can see them. So these are saved brushes, a preset, and the cool thing is that not only did these come in with an actual shape and a name, they actually even came in with a color chip. So when you save brushes, they can be a blank brush, just like you pick up a paintbrush, or in this case, they're saying, hey, whenever you paint with this, we think you should be painting with brown or yellow or green. So those colors are preloaded. You don't have to stay with them. You can change them out. But this brush set also came with colors loaded with it. All right. So that's loading brushes. We just got access to a bunch of new brushes. The other thing that we can do is create a custom brush preset on our own. So we're going to save, we're going to make and save a variation of one of these brushes that exists. So select your mixer brush if you don't already have it over here in the tools panel. And then in this landscape brush group that we just downloaded, we're going to choose the round fan brush. So it's that top one. And notice you got a preview up at the top left over here. And notice, hey, it is working. I'm tipping my Wacom tablet or Wacom pen a little bit left and right, and do you see the preview I'm getting up in the left corner? It knows that I'm actually turning that. Look at the physical drawing of the brush up there, and you can see it's got short bristles compared to some other ones. And then we also see the preview here on our screen. I can see how big this is. Up at the top in our options bar, I can see here's my round fan brush, and mine happens to be 174 pixels. Is that what yours came in as, or no? I'm just curious if yours is as big as mine. 25, yeah, a lot smaller. All right. So mine is ginormous for whatever reason. In our brush settings panel, this other free floating panel that we have over here, we're going to change some settings of it. So we have it selected, and then we have a slider here for size. So you can either move the slider or type in an actual number. We're all going to make it 36 pixels. So either type that in right here or move your slider. The brush itself is the round fan. That's the one that we want. Bristles. 66% is what it currently is. We're going to pull this down to 35%. And notice how your preview is changing. It's adding bristles or pulling some out and making it more sparse. So just because we loaded a brush a certain way, we can still customize it. Length, we're currently set at 25%. We're going to up that. We're going to make it longer. Look at my preview in the top left corner as I'm making the bristles length longer. See how that preview is changing? So I'm making a lot longer bristles. We want 32% in the length. Apparently I can't get that on my own, so I'm going to type it in, 32. I'm going to hit tab. That jumps us to the thickness. 1%, we want to go to 2%. So you can type in a 2 and hit tab. Stiffness, 75%. Hit tab again. Our angle, we're going to keep at 0. And our spacing, the next line down, we're also going to keep at 2%. So we've just made a custom brush. We're going to go over to our toolbar in the bottom, or on the left-hand side, and we're going to go, whoops, all the way down to the color swatches, the foreground color swatch, and we're going to click on that to change our color, and that's going to bring up our color picker. So click on the foreground swatch at the bottom of your tool panel. We're going to select a medium light blue color. So if you want to visually grab one, or if you want to type in RGB coordinates that the book has, if you want to go that way, for red they did 86, green 201, and blue is 252. If you want to enter those RGB coordinates or pick a light blue similar to that, you're going to match what the book has. Say OK, that set your color. So we're not able to sample colors from a tube. We're just setting it up originally to what we want using our color foreground swatch. And then before we do anything with our mixer brush, we're going to set this up to be dry. So in your option bar, switch over to dry. Okay, now it's time to save these settings that we just did. So we customized this brush in the brush settings. In our menu at the top right of the brush setting panel, we're going to click on that, and we're going to click on New Brush Preset. So we're going to name it now that we've tweaked it. And instead of being called Round Fan 511, we're going to name this one Sky Brush. Wait in this item and make sure that we are clicking all of these boxes. So capture the brush size and preset and include color. So there's that option of turning color on or off with it, so that like if you were to share this with somebody, not only would all these numbers be there, but it would come with that blue color also. So all three of those are selected, and say OK. And if we look over at our brush panel in this family on the right hand side, we see the Sky Brush, and we see that it has that blue color associated with it. You also can create new brushes out of the panel on the right hand side by coming down to the icon that's the new panel, or the new icon, like we've done new anything. You always click that button and then you get a chance to set something up as well. All right, painting and mixing with our colors now. So we're going to paint the sky. So the first thing I wondered is, like, I kind of am a worrywart, and I wouldn't want to paint straight on this JPEG layer, even though that's what the book is having us do. I would always want to be safe and have another layer, but then it's not mixing with the color underneath it. So we are going to stay on this layer, but remember that's always your choice. Do you want to create a new blank layer and paint on that, or do you want to paint directly on the image? So using this brush, our clouds brush, oh, not this one, sorry. We need to find, yes, the Sky Brush. I jumped ahead. The brush that we just made. We're going to paint over the sky with this blue paint, and it's going to mix with the colors below. So take this paintbrush and paint up your sky however you would like to do. We're using a dry mix, so there's not a whole lot of mixture with the colors underneath, but we still can see the colors underneath. If you wanted to make your brush a little bit bigger, just use your brackets and get some more painting done a little bit quicker. Why am I using my mouse? Why am I using the potato? All right, there we go, much better. So paint up your sky using this blue Sky Brush. After you've done that, come over to your brush panel and pick the clouds brush. So that's got a different shape and a different color of blue associated with it. Now bring that into your screen and start painting around with your cloud brush. And mix in a few of these colors to your liking. Oops. How many of you feel like Van Gogh right now are really super artsy? Nope. I feel like a kindergartner here. All right. Um, let's move on to the grass. The green grass highlight brush. So come over to your brushes, green grass highlight. There it is. If there's a brush preview available, that gray preview window at the top left corner, you'll see it. If you want to turn that off, there's an icon at the bottom of your brush panel that shows an eyeball with a pen, and that's a toggle, should be able to be toggled on and off. Yep, I'm seeing it up here, turn on and off. So if you want the live brush preview, which I think is helpful because it shows your angle and how long the bristles are, so you start to understand what you're working with. So we're going to paint short vertical strokes over the dark grass areas so that they become bright green. So short vertical over this dark stuff. Again, if there's a little bit of a lag, like I'm seeing mine show up kind of after I paint them, you have to think about the speed of your computer and your RAM and your CPU and all that good stuff. There might be a little bit of lag time. So go ahead and paint some green, light green grass strokes in here. If you're happy with that, go and get the foreground tree brush. It's preloaded with a darker color of green. We're going to paint the two smaller trees on the right-hand side of this painting. So back here, paint those. And I can tell right away that this is interacting differently. And if I look up at the option bar, it says wet. So that was part of the preset. This brush had a wet option. Probably my cursor's big too. So paint those trees. Then we're going to go 2 brushes down to the tree highlight brush. That's got some yellow in it. And we're going to paint in some lighter areas of the trees using this. This has got a wet mix set up with it also. Foreground tree brush. You're going to paint this big tree in the foreground. This has a wet mix, so I can see that it's interacting with the pixels underneath it. There's some browns and yellows kind of coming through with it because of that. And then the tree highlight again on your main big tree, add some yellow highlights into this. And in the book it says so far so good. Again, I think mine looks like a 2-year-old is doing it, but you would spend some time with this, clearly. Select the brown grass brush and paint along the brown grass with up and down strokes for the look of a field. So again, you can see some spacing between these brush tips, so you get, it almost does look like grass, obviously. I guess that's the point of it. Let me move up here. Whoa, come back. And then there's a foreground grass brush. You can paint using a diagonal stroke to blend the colors of the grass. So like they mentioned with this one, we were first doing vertical strokes. And then with the other one, we're going to do more diagonal to kind of blend the paint because these are wet paints. So we'll be able to smear them together. Foreground grass. Then, according to the book, congratulations, you've created a masterpiece. Some look better than others. I'm feeling like I like some of my grass. My tree looks ridiculous, but whatever. All right. Let's do a save so that we keep our beautiful masterpiece. Hmm?
Oh no, just the front grass area.
Yeah, yep.
Created a war crime.
You what?
Seems like I created a war crime.
All right. So that import brushes, again, like I said, there's so many brushes that you can go and find and download to your computer. Adobe, the Creative Cloud has them. I would assume that Marketplace has a bunch of them. But obviously you can find brushes for your needs. So this was like a landscape picture. They were shaped as trees and brushes and grasses, and they were preloaded with some colors specific to this exercise. All right. Yes, PSDC. That is interesting to see that up there. You can leave this one open if you want to come back to it and tweak on it a little bit just for fun, you can. But let's open a blank document. So do a File, New. And let's go with the print presets and just choose the letter, but it's going to be at high res. So 8.5 by 11 at 300 is going to be our new blank document. And there's a new feature with some brushes called painting with symmetry. So the snowflake idea that you were talking about, Larry, where you do part of it and it kind of mirrors it for you, same thing. Or like mandalas, if you think those are cool and you like the idea of painting one piece and having it repeated all the way around for you. In Illustrator, we kind of know how to do this, or we've practiced bits and pieces with it. But in Photoshop, there's this thing called painting with symmetry. And if the brush that you pick supports it, there's going to be another option in the option bar that shows up. So let's go away from these landscape brushes, and let's maybe go back to general brushes. And let me see here. That one didn't do it. Got to get to one that supports this option. Oh, I suppose now that we're in a new feature, it's going to be different. Darn it. Huh. What I'm looking for as I'm clicking through these brushes is in our option bar up here at the far right over by where that like bullseye looking thing is. I'm looking for like a butterfly icon to show up with a split down the middle, because that's saying that that brush can paint in symmetry.
You're still in the mixer brush, that's why.
Oh, crap. Go into the normal brush. Yeah. There it is. There's the butterfly. Thank you. Regular brush. There's the butterfly I was talking about. So if we were to take, I'm going to do one of these hard, round, pressure sensitive brushes, and notice that the butterfly shows up. So set symmetry options. Click on that, and it's going to say, okay, what kind of an axis do you want to make? I'm just going to pick the dual one, and there it is. If you want to make it bigger or smaller with the handlebars around it, you can pull it out to whatever size you want. And then with our paintbrush, start painting in one of these corners. And look what happens. So I only made a line in the top right quadrant, but it mirrored it out into all the others. So if I want to switch my colors and go into a green now, and then come back in here and do another one. That's pretty crazy. So you can set your axis. Oh my gosh, look at the fun stuff you can make. This is a pretty cool feature too. Is it working? You're looking...
No, well, I missed the step. How do I get the?
Oh, you have to set your axis first. You have to go up and click on the butterfly up
There
here.
it is.
Yep. Pick the one that you want.
Okay.
And then if you want to make it bigger right now while you have your, while you have the bars around it, do that. And then say yes. You have to click the yes up there. Now, just go into one of the quadrants and start doing something. And who can make the coolest piece of fine art? Michael's already way ahead of us. I haven't seen yours. That Michael is. Oh, you're not painting in symmetry, but you're painting. So, is that not kind of cool? Think of the fun stuff you could do with that. That's an interesting shape. How's that one behave?
I don't know. I can't get like my pen.
Oh, does your mouse work?
Yeah.
You have to hit, hit that, and now as you paint, it's just, oh no, that's crazy. Look at that. Look at Sam's fun thing already. Wow, this is fun. I'll never get your attention back now. All right, one last cool feature. These are all at the end of this chapter, kind of in the yellow extra stuff. That was painting with symmetry that we just did. So brushes, like I said, you can go and get them from people. And there's a set from this Kyle T. Webster dude that they talk about in the book. Award-winning brush designer, joined Adobe in 2017. And there's some cool brushes that we can access. So if we want to add his brushes, which is just practicing again how to add brushes, go to your brush panel over here on the right and get more brushes. Is that really an option? That sounds weird. Oh, sure enough, get more brushes. So in that little menu icon at the top, click on that and we see get more brushes. Would think it would say load or something, but whatever. And here are a bunch of brushes. Look at all these gems. Whichever one you want to grab, I'm going to just grab Crosshatchers. So I'm going to click on download. And I can see it's coming down here to the lower left, and it's crosshatch.abr. After we down it, we're going to double click on the downloaded file. So down here, crosshatch.abr, double click on that. And those are then added into the proper Photoshop folder behind the scenes. And now, if I go down here, there they are. They're in my brush panel. And those new brushes called Crosshatch that I just downloaded are here. So get more brushes, that'll take you, that's one way of getting to the Adobe world. But the trick with them is once you download the file, the .abr, you have to double click on it to actually launch it. That's kind of like with fonts. Just downloading them doesn't activate them or put them in our font menu. After you download them, you have to double click on them to get to the font pop-up window and then tell it to actually install the fonts. So the last few pages in your book are just some painting galleries of things that are done in Photoshop. And again, it strikes me as something that you would see in Illustrator, but they did it in Photoshop using the brushes. All right.